Okay, great.
Because you know me.
We're live.
It says we're now live streaming.
Yeah, my kids
Or
really would kill me if they saw these lives. Sandra, hi everyone. Out in no man's land that I'm pretending is there, but it's really just looking at me and Sandra.
Oh, what
Uh-oh,
is going on?
You look confused. It says we're live now.
It's just so strange.
Oh dear.
I'm getting the conversation like delayed by 3 seconds. And I don't know why. Anyway, all right. It's all fixed. I fixed it.
Okay.
I fixed it. Everybody, I fixed it.
You're so dorky. Okay.
Of
Yay.
course I'm dorky.
I said we are so dorky.
No, I said I am so dorky. Do you want me to do the Hulk impersonation again?
Fantastic.
I just have to paint my face green. Of course, no one knows what we're talking about now.
That's true.
No.
We should give some context.
Okay, you go give the
talk today. Sandra gave a talk today in our networking meeting, and she was exhaling quite vigorously, and she looked like the Hulk or like a bodybuilder. It was quite humorous. Anyway, you had to be there. So what are we talking about today? Because we do not have a guest with us today. It's just us.
It's just us. We're so much fun. Just us.
What are we talking about? I know what we're talking about.
Yes.
I saw your post today about body neutrality. Let's talk about that.
Woohoo! Body neutrality, the new sexy term.
Sexy. And it's funny because I flipped open my Real Simple magazine today that I bought just because I had to buy something for my niece. And in it was a whole article on body neutrality. And so I was standing in the kitchen this morning reading through it. And then you post this. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. Synchronicity.
I am in the know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Real Simple called me and said, Sandra, what do you want to talk about this month?
That would be awesome if that happened. Okay.
Yes.
We need to get to the point here.
Yes, you get to the point.
Okay.
I'll just be you be straight man. I'll be like goof.
And even today. It's been a long day, people. A long day.
And this was the highlight.
So if you guys haven't seen, I'm getting back to business. If you should stop making me laugh. If you haven't seen the post on Sandra's Me, Her, and Us page for body neutrality, I highly suggest you go out and read it and tell us in the comments below this video what your thoughts are around it. I personally love this concept because I think it gets to the heart of what you and I have been discussing, meaning we can separate our health from how we feel about our bodies, how we feel about ourselves and our self-worth, and make our bodies just, they're neutral. They're not good. They're not bad. It's not super positive, I love my body, or super, I hate my body, right? You're just like, I like my body for what it can do for me, for all of the amazing things it allows me to do in my life. And for that, I think that's an easier stepping stone for those of us who, like me, for 30, 40 years, hated everything about their body and didn't have one good thing to say or think about, and just go from there to all of a sudden being like, I love my body. That's just like not realistic. So I think this is like a really nice stepping stone almost to loving yourself more.
Yeah. And you know, I love what you say all the time. And that is that, you know, the issue of health and the issue of body weight and body size, it's not about whether or not you have value, whether or not you have, you feel good about who you are. It's got nothing to do with your worth as a person, right? But you have to have those feelings of worth and value and self-love in order to be good to your body. And they're separate, but critical to feeling a sense of belonging, well, a sense of genuine respect and caring and compassion for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. You can't, like your quote that I love that you found, that you can't hate yourself into loving yourself. I mean, it just doesn't work that way, or something.
Yes.
It's something like that.
You can't hate yourself into a version of you that you'll love.
That's it. I just love that.
Oh my gosh. It hit so hard when I read that the first time. And I just was like, read it. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now, right? And it's not even, it was the lady who started Tiny Buddha who wrote that, right? And, it's just such a powerful statement. It has to start with loving and caring for yourself and your worth, regardless of what society says about you, regardless of, yeah.
Yeah. And I just believe in that so wholeheartedly, because if you come at yourself from a place of disgust or shame or hatred, you're not going to be able to truly sustain any changes that you make, because inside your head you will still have those feelings about yourself, no matter the outcome of whatever action you take, right? Like in my case, it was, I lost a whole bunch of weight and I got super skinny, and I was like, oh wait, I still hate myself, right? And so even though I thought that was the answer, that really wasn't the real issue. So you really have to love yourself and not fight with yourself in order to make sustained long-term change and feel the way you want to feel in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So
Agreed.
good. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in our retreat. Because it takes such a big leap. You wouldn't think it would be such a big leap, but it does take such a big leap to uncouple that concept, right? To uncouple the who I am, what I am, or the value that I bring, the love that I give is not your body. And you wouldn't think that that would be so much work, but because we've been so conditioned over such a long time, some of us longer than others, but over such a long time, that is something that takes a lot of work to uncouple. And one conversation isn't going to do it. It's not like you're going to walk away from any conversation you have about this after spending years and years and decades of thinking of that coupling to say, oh, I suddenly love myself. It's like you were saying, I can't remember now if it was before we went live or after we went live, but this idea of, oh, I suddenly love myself. No, right?
Yeah, because it's so deep in your psyche and it's so deeply ingrained. And to be honest, most of us, you're never going to reach that point where you always are positive and love your body or yourself, right? Because all of those things that you've grown up with that are conditioned in you, that even though you've spent years uncoupling, right, and finding your sense of worth and finding those things outside of just looking at yourself and judging yourself, they still creep up, right? But I think the difference is in recognizing it, like calling it out and be like, oh, nope, not going down that path, right? And then pivoting.
Yes.
But I don't think we'll ever truly leave you, because it's just so in you.
Yeah. And what we want people to walk away with, I think, are two things, probably a whole bunch of other things, but two really big things. The first one is awareness, right? I am aware of when I speak to myself that way, how it hurts me, right? And then I can plan, how do I want to behave when I'm in these situations, right? But the other aspect of it is all the ways that I use that to impact the decisions that I make, because we are not aware. I think we are aware of how we feel about it, but we do not have awareness to all the different ways in which it impacts us. And
Right.
we're going to be doing some really powerful exercises, really to connect with that, oh, oh, feeling of, it impacts how I look at other people. It impacts how I see other people. It impacts how I choose to show up at work, how I choose to show up for my children, how I choose to show up for my partner, the kinds of things that are challenging for me to do, right? How I choose to show up for myself when I'm in these other challenging situations, right?
Mm.
Um, so much of our life, when we are not aware, is a direct impact to how we feel about our bodies.
Yes, and we don't even realize it.
Yes.
hmm Yeah, so we are going to be doing some very impactful work during the retreat. And it is around this very first piece of awareness, right? You can't fix what you don't know. I mean, I say it all the time to my clients. Like, this is going to feel like you're not really doing anything when I say, I want you to notice. I want you to be aware. I want you to stop yourself and notice. And they're like, that seems silly. But it's the most important part, because if you don't notice that you're having these thoughts or where they're coming from, or that you're behaving in this way, and that, oh my God, it might be linked to this, then you're just still walking around in a haze of, I have no clue. Did that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Let's real quick pivot
Yes.
before I forget. I I wanted to address a couple concerns that I've had people talk to me about the retreat and about these lives and what we're doing. One of which was I was speaking with a friend, and she was like, yeah, I know I have my own issues. She's like, but I don't really believe what you believe about body image,
Mm,
right? I don't wouldn't feel comfortable coming and sharing and being in that space, because I don't feel like I will be of the same mindset as the other women that are there.
mm,
And actually, I was kind of taken aback by that comment, um, because we know that we want to foster a space where anyone with whatever opinion they have, whether they feel it's going to be popular or not popular, feels safe in coming and exploring these topics. And I didn't realize that we may have even have a slant of the way that we're speaking. Um, so I kind of wanted to address that. I don't know. What are your thoughts around that?
mm. So, so powerful. And I applaud your friend for stepping up and having the courage to admit that. And I think in today's culture, where we are so divided about so many different things,
Mm.
it's very easy to feel afraid or to feel uncomfortable voicing an opinion that is not popular, because there are so many trolls, for lack of a better word. So many women or people get attacked if they make a statement and it's not the commonly held. And so a lot of the work that I do around circle is really holding all of those opinions. And we do that very intentionally. One of the things that we talk about is that all opinions are welcome, and we set that stage right up at the very beginning. So you don't have to agree with anything or everything that is said. So it's not a, hey, come and let's all have a kumbaya session. No, it is, let's get real, right? Let's have all the voices at the table.
Mhm.
So one thing we do is we very actively and openly acknowledge that all voices are welcome, all opinions are welcome. And the second thing we will do right at the very beginning in setting up the circle container is to say no one is allowed to respond to anyone else's statements because we are all valid. They are our experiences, they are our thoughts, they are our feelings, and they are all valid. We may not agree with them, but that doesn't make our experiences wrong. It doesn't make our experiences unacceptable, right? Your experience of you, your body, how you feel in your body, what you encountered in your life, they're real. And for me to stand there and say they're not valid is it's saying what? To invalidate you as a human? No, they're your experiences. So you matter, you're valued, and your opinions and thoughts are valued. So I would say that we want to make sure everybody understands that there is definitely no slant to this, and all opinions are welcome. You will have an open space in which to voice them. And so the obvious question is, well, what if somebody says something and I don't agree with it? Okay,
Mhm.
we're not debating it,
Right.
right? Your opinion
It-
is your opinion. We're not debating. We are allowing all the voices to surface so that we can then decide, wow, how do I feel with that?
Right. Right. We are not inviting people into a space with any kind of agenda of we want people to come out feeling this way. Not at all. Right? Your experiences color your beliefs, right? And only you can look at your own experiences and how take in the information, figure out what it means to you and what you want it to mean or not mean for you going forward. So, like to Sandra's point, it is truly a place for you to come and do some self exploration without fear that someone is going to tell you, no, that's wrong.
And I know it's really easy for me as a circle facilitator, because I do this all the time, to tell women that you'll be safe. But one of the things that I have really valued about circle is we see each other as human, even in those moments when we don't agree with each other. We can absolutely see the humanness behind a person and really value and connect with them as people, with genuine love and affection, even in those moments when we are listening to something, a message, a statement that can be provoking. But we learn to separate what somebody is saying from the person that they are, and to work with the person themselves and to love and honor them. It's one of the most powerful things that I've learned about being in circle. And that when we're able to do that, truly do that, we learn about ourselves too. We learn about our own self-compassion, and we learn about those moments when we say things that are upsetting to other people, and we don't have that appreciation or that sense of, oh, I just did something.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Total sense. Um, and for those of you that may be sitting out there thinking, yeah, okay, whatever, that's a bunch of BS, right? I have participated in Circle with Sandra, and I tell people all the time, number one, Sandra is the least judgmental human I've ever met. And if she is, you would never know. She holds space for everyone and considers all opinions, and she just lets you be, right? That's part of one of her magical superpowers. And when I participated in the circle, even though it wasn't like a long-term circle, it was just a circle in one evening, it was very impactful because you are able to feel like you are seen and heard, and that no matter what you think, it matters. And there's space for that. And there's space for that without feeling as if someone else is going to come at you for what you think or what you say. So as a person who went in a little skeptical to the circle, not knowing what to expect and being like, okay, it was very powerful. And truly there is that space for you.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Of course, there are people listening to you speak right now who are saying, is she talking about Sandra? No, and I own that, right? Because we all evolve, we all learn, we all do things at some point in our lives that don't reflect that reflect the person we were at that moment in time. And so people who knew us at that moment in time may have one opinion of us, and then they move on, we evolve, we grow, we learn things, we change, right? And they are still working under that model that they have of you, and you have moved on. And so, yes, I have done lots of really outrageous things and said lots of outrageous things that others might look at that and say, there is no way that this person that I knew in this role doing this activity could be the person that Shannon is speaking about. And we all own that, right? We've all been in that situation where we have matured, we have grown, we have changed our opinions about things. And it's actually sitting in circle that has been a transformative process for me, and listening to the pain of others, or listening to the joy of others, or listening to the experience of others, good or bad, or, neutral, but an experience all the same. And I have learned to look at people in a different way.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And if anyone out there does have a concern or does have a question, you can feel free to reach out to one of us or both of us one-on-one, and we'd be happy to talk through it with you, because we want everyone to feel safe and comfortable in sharing and in coming and in finding the community with other women to start to explore these topics that are not easy, that come with lots of baggage, lots of shame and guilt and judgment. And, wherever you are in that journey is fine. And you are allowed to show up for yourself exactly as you are. So
This is an act of radical self-care and self-love. We have a tendency to think of self-love as that day that I spend at the massage, or when I go out and get my nails done, or, having tea and coffee with, out in the sunshine with my girlfriends. Those are all self-care and self-love. So is sitting in circle and dealing with all of those ugly feelings that come up for us when we start to think about all these different things. Because when we can learn to both face those things, love ourselves through those things, and then integrate that understanding of who we are as a person, we grow, we learn, we love, and that is all self-love.
Yes. Amen. Amen to that.
Mm.
That was
I'm
fun.
excited. We have a great group of women coming.
Me too.
We have room for 4 more, and we're excited to have those that are in need or in desire of examining this aspect of their viewpoint, to step forward and really take a stand for themselves.
That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah. Very excited.
Yeah. Yes. I'm looking forward to it. One, for 2 reasons, right? One, I'm looking forward to help facilitate these exercises and discussions in this beautiful day. But 2, I am very much looking forward to learning more about myself. So I think it's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, actually, and that's a really good question. Shannon, if you're going to learn about yourself, how are you going to coach us?
Oh, I learned so much more about me from my clients than they probably learn from me.
But I think the other part of it is, right, we can only ever heal ourselves, right?
Right.
So as in all things, right? When we go to therapy, right? That's not to say that the therapist who's sitting in front of us has all of their stuff together too, because
right.
they're human, right?
Yeah.
They haven't figured it out either. And so part of what the therapist is doing, amongst other things, part of it is holding space for us to express our feelings and know that we are held and not being judged, so that we can play with these different aspects of ourselves, right?
Right. Yeah.
And to challenge us and to say, do you really want to do that? Like, what's going to happen? Or like to push us when we need to be pushed, right?
Yeah.
And that's what coaches will do for you too, right? And
Right.
it doesn't mean that we need to have all of our stuff together either.
Oh goodness, I hope not.
Oh gosh.
Yikes.
But we have figured some stuff out, right? And yes, and I think that when we sit in circle, we not only help others, but we learn tremendously about ourselves.
Agree. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yay, I am too.
So we will be back today, Wednesday.
Friday.
Okay, we will be back Friday. So if anyone has questions that you want us to talk about or topics that you are hoping we will mention, we would love for you to let us know.
Yes. And I think that if someone really wants to be there that day, but for whatever reason, financially isn't able to be there that day, take the first step to reach out to Shannon and myself, because we will figure out a way to make it happen for you.
Yes.
So yes, definitely reach out. Let us know. We cannot help unless we know. And then the other aspect of it is, if you never ask, you'll never get.
So true. Indeed. Well, thank you, Sandra. This has been a lovely discussion.
I love spending time with you, Shannon.
Oh, thanks. Ditto, lady.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Sing us out, Shannon.